almost like muddled or like conflicted things for them because it feels like it's almost became a, I don't want to say distraction, but like more noise than there should be.
Yeah, I mean, I almost feel like that the whole sort of like they want to be the underdogs. It's like at some point, man, like that has to be a little tiresome. You know what I'm saying? Again, like I know they're built on being gritty and tough, as they should. I mean, I think that that should be part of the identity. But like winning's pretty cool too. I think that should be part of the identity. And again, I kind of wrote a couple columns on this kind of throughout the season, especially after the trade deadline. Like this team needs another alpha. I think that's kind of what's missing. And obviously, I mean, Giannis fits the bill. But like, if you don't get Giannis, how are you selling this team in a fifth season where you could be a playing team again? I just don't know how you sell it. Again, this it seems like that the excuse has been the health. I think it's a legitimate excuse. I just don't know how you can sell that for another season after four straight seasons of being locked in the play-in. So it's interesting. You would think that the status of Norman Powell and Tyler Hero, that's going to be a huge thing going into the offseason, and other these things. So I just don't know. Again, they were the first 10 seed. Again, the play-in tournament has been around for several years now, but they're the first 10 seed to kind of get out of the play-in and into the playoffs. They probably will have to do that again. I think they're going to stay at 10. Again, we'll see, but they're just making it harder for themselves. And I guess they feed off that. But like again, this team should not be sort of like they really play when they really have to. That's not the Heat way. That's not the Heat culture. They did that sort of court thing a couple years ago. People flamed them for right the hardest working whatever. You got to be that every single night. You can't just be that on the night where you have the most pressure. So I think there needs to be some sort of reality check. And again, like this team, I know wants to win. It's not like the effort is not there. It's just again, I think it's really just they're outmatched to a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference. We'll see if they, prove me wrong. But they're in a weird place.
Yeah, no, definitely it is a weird place. Sam, you were gonna ask something?
Yeah, I was wondering, like, you just spoke about Giannis. Like, do you feel like they're going to get Giannis this summer? Like, how percentage-wise, what do you think, like, their chances are with that?
Oh man. So I think for me anyways, like to me this is a different situation than like with Dame, with KD last offseason, with the other guys they've had a chance to get. Like I in some ways I think that this is like whether it happens or not, it's like a momentum shifting thing for the Heat because they have a lot of hard decisions to make. I think they kind of actually have a good chance of getting him. I'm definitely over that 50% mark personally, just because, first of all, as the reports say, that was the biggest offer they were seriously considering before the trade deadline. Hero, Khalil Ware, some other players, first round picks, first round swaps. They have more tradable first round picks in the summer. I think that with the players involved, I think that could get it done. Now, there's going to be teams like Golden State where those more tradable first round picks could be a little more valuable because post Curry Warriors they could be bad. So we'll see. But I think in terms of a complete package, if they want players, young prospects, and first round picks and whatever, I think the Heat is the best team around. We'll see what other teams throw at them. So I think it's a pretty good chance. Now we'll see if that's naive of me, but I at this point in time, April 9th, I think they actually do. So and I think if you pair him with Bam, with a Norman Powell, one of either Norm or Tyler, I think Tyler will be in the deal if that happens. Norman, Davion Mitchell, Andrew Wiggins, if you keep him. I think that's a pretty good starting lineup. It just depends on how the bench looks, but I think you have to get Giannis and worry about the rest later. I think they have a good chance. I'm giving it over 50%. I'm more on the positive side there. We'll see though. Again, the Heat have struck out on these players, but I think the pressure is on. I think after now four straight seasons of the play-in, you got to get a whale. And I think there's been three players reportedly that Pat Riley will go all in for. Giannis is one of them. Donovan Mitchell and Anthony Edwards. That was the reported three. Giannis has to be there. He's a top player ever. So yeah, to me it's a good chance.
Definitely, I think Giannis is the one that's most gettable out of those twos, and unless like something massively goes wrong for Cleveland in the first round and Donovan just wants out. And also Donovan's just getting older, so it just like kind of like closes that window. We talked about this in the past. Pat Riley likes the bargain bin. If you look at a lot of the trades over the years, the Norman Powell trade, Davion Mitchell, they love other people's junk. Not even junk. I don't want to say junk. Like they want other people's discarded goods or like players that either contract extension is coming up or they have too many players at that time and they are willing to, find players that normally wouldn't be moved at a discounted rate because of whatever situation they're in. And that's where we also talk about Jaime Jaquez becoming extension eligible. The poison pill for Nikola Jovic expires when the offseason starts, so he doesn't have a trade kicker when he gets traded. And you've mentioned Norman Powell, Tyler Hero. Do you think there's a world where they do look for other guys that, maybe aren't being mentioned now, but could be available? Like Zion Williamson, if he's ever traded, this is going to be the best time for them to sell high on him because he just played the healthiest season of his career. There's Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot Henderson in Portland that could be on the move. There's plenty of other guys around the league that we could just list that maybe you do the second draft thing where they're on the going into the fourth season and you take a swing on them, or they're on the last or second to last year of a deal about to be extension eligible, similar to Norman, that they could end up getting a good player on a discounted rate. What's your thoughts on that? And do you see them having to make a move regardless if it's not for a Giannis, Donovan, or a Anthony Edwards, which that's not going to happen?
Yeah, again, mentioning like Donovan Mitchell and Anthony Edwards, that won't happen. It's just that's the three players that Pat Riley would go all in for. They're gonna make a move regardless, I think. And you mentioned a big name there, Zion. That's one of the names that I'm thinking of as well. I think they would go after that. I just think personally that they have to be realistic because if Zion is a good player when healthy, they always deal with players that are very injury prone. Again, Giannis is to me is a different thing. He's been injury prone in the past, but he's obviously a different animal. Like, they've dealt with Jimmy. They didn't give him the extension at that point because of the injuries concerns that he was getting older. They're dealing now with Tyler. So the only way that they would go for Zion if it's for cheap. Now we'll see if that comes through. Like you mentioned at the end there, I think they're going to go for a move regardless. If they strike out on Giannis, they're going to have to make these moves, especially for those players that you mentioned. I think the discarded goods thing, again, they've been doing good at taking teams sort of discarded goods, like you said, and making it into like diamonds in the rough. They've done that in the past. Now, is that going to equate to getting out of the first round of the playoffs? That's another conversation, but they're going to be making these moves. I think it's going to be a pretty active offseason for them, regardless of whatever happens. So I think that kind of route is likely for this team. And again, like you have to do something. How can you can't sell this team next year and say, well, it was injuries holding us back. There's no way that you can really stop that from happening. That's just how the game goes. You get injured. It's been a little rougher for the Heat, but still, like, you got to do something.